We need to find out who's telling the truth.
Here we go.
Hey everybody, Uncle Rich here for Who's Telling the Truth. Judy, can we get the bug up there?
Sure,
This way
Rich.
people know there we go. And let's see, this is show number, 110's not showing up that good, but it's show number 110. And the name of the show is Character. And guys, you know, some people are gonna think I'm using the term character because I wanna make people look like cartoon characters. You know, like what I did to Al on our last show, where Al made the statement that Gravity Payments went bankrupt and I made him look like a buffoon, you know? That was show number 109 where I said he lied. And guys, this is what it's gonna come down to. It's gonna come down to humiliating the people that go out of their way to profess this nonsense. And I'll tell you, this is what makes me crazy. But this show, it's not gonna be about cartoon characters, it's gonna be about moral character. The show is going to be about the character or the lack of character in the conservative party.
What happened?
The lack of, we tried to rehearse this, guys, but all right, this show is about the character or the lack of character in the conservative party.
This is about the character of our nation. And if we will not stand up and force President Obama to veto this bill...
I don't know, you want to make the third time a charm? But guys, that's what we want to do tonight. You know, Judy, let's play that one more time, just so everybody gets the flavor.
This is about the character of our nation. And if we will not stand up and force President Obama to veto this bill...
So guys, Carly is saying, you know, it's about the character of our nation. And Carly, I couldn't agree with you anymore. Because what's happened is the character of our nation has gone down the toilet. And when you have people like you that talk about falsified videos and get up in front of the national audience in a national debate and you profess this BS, I tell you, it's got to end. And that's what we're, you know, tonight, that's what the show is all about. I mean, because we're not going to give you a break. And the, you know, also, you know, Kevin McCarthy got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And, you know, he admitted that the whole Benghazi scandal is nothing but a ploy to insult Hillary. And there never was anything factual about it. Or it's just a political ploy. And guys, we have to, once again, we have to stop the nonsense. So Judy, let's have clip number 01.
Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was unbeatable, right? But we put together a Benghazi special committee, a select committee. What are her numbers today? Her numbers are dropping. Why? Because she's untrustable. But no one would have known any of that had happened had we not thought and made that happen.
That's something good. I give you credit for that. I give you credit for sequestration.
Yeah.
Guys, when I first heard that, I almost fell over. And I immediately Facebooked. Judy, can you put our Facebook page up? I immediately Facebooked Uncle Joey, and I said, Uncle Joey, this guy really put his foot in his mouth. And I tell you, you're going to need more than a dental surgeon to get it out. But this guy, I'm telling you, this guy is a Looney Tune, and we're going to play a clip later. When you hear the way he talks, you're going to say, wait a minute, is he one of the simple folk, or is he just stupid? I mean, because guys, really, when you listen to this clip, you're gonna be amazed. Astounded is probably the better word to use. And guys, the last clip that we're gonna use in the beginning here is we want to show you the deceit and the deception from Joseph Chavez when he was interviewing Cecile from Planned Parenthood. So, Judy, let's have clip number 2, please.
You're going to deny that if we take those
I'm going to
numbers
deny
out
the
of your
slide that
report?
you've just shown me that no one has ever provided us before. We have provided you all the information about everything, all the services that Planned Parenthood provides. And does it feel like we're trying to get to the truth here? You just showed me this. I'm happy to look at it.
I pulled those numbers directly out of your corporate reports.
Oh,
my
excuse me. My loggers are informing me that the source of this is actually Americans United for Life, which is an anti-abortion group. So I would check your source.
Then we will get to the bottom of the truth of that.
Judy, can you go back to the very end of that? I want to see his face again. Is there any way you can go?
You're going to deny that if we take those
I'm going to
numbers
deny
out
the
of your
slide that
report?
you just showed me that no one has ever provided us before.
Forget it. No, that's why. Okay. But guys, I wanted you to get a good look at his face at the end there. And I wanted you to see what a face looked like when somebody made a jackass out of him. And guys, what's the one thing that we always say on this show? We want you to do what? We want you to be specific and to cite your source, right? And what happened? You got a guy that's on the floor of the Senate, and he doesn't have enough respect to do his due diligence and find out where his source is coming from. And this is what happens is the American people see this. The American public is fed this stuff. And you wonder why people like Marty and Dave Straight and Al and Uncle Joey, you wonder why they can't think straight, because they've been brainwashed. They've been fed this stuff. And guys, right now I want to bring up, Judy, let's bring up still number 4. We got number 4 up, Judy? Still number 4. There we go. Guys, you know, on the show I always mention, be specific and name your source. Judy, you can come back and forth to me.
You're going to deny?
No, just, that's it. Just come back. There you go.
You're going to deny?
But guys, no, don't play that, Judy. So guys, you know, how could you be in front of a panel like that and embarrass yourself? And this guy wants to be Speaker of the House. These two buffoons, they're going to be fighting to be Speaker of the House? They can't get their facts right. Oh, Marty, you're going to love this guy. He doesn't know a thing about facts. He's right up your alley. You guys are really going to love him. All right, anyway. Guys, we're going to go, and the next clip we're going to do is clip number 5. And we're going to show a clip from Rachel Maddow where she exposes Chavez in one of these gotcha moments where she holds his feet to the fire and she makes him cite his source. And guys, I'm telling you, this is what it's all about. We got to stop the buffoonery. So, Judy, let's have clip number 5.
So they had been preparing for this for months. They were very sure of themselves, very sure of themselves. And from the beginning, the chairman was in a real hurry, a very obvious hurry. He clearly had a bunch of stuff to say, but he couldn't really pause to wait for the answers. He was hurrying. He was hurrying toward something that he really wanted to get to.
Congressman, let me tell you.
No. We don't have time for a big narrative.
I'm not going to give you. You asked me a question. We don't own anything in those countries. Our global.
Let me keep going.
Well,
I have to keep going.
We've been extremely forthcoming with all of our documents.
Let me go to the next one.
Will the gentleman yield?
No, I won't.
No, I won't. I'm in a hurry here. Republican Chairman Jason Chaffetz was in a big hurry to get to his big finale, it turns out. And so he couldn't really waste time on anything else on the way there because he needed his big finish. His whole opening statement at this hearing today, the whole conduct of the hearing, which he ran, this whole inquisition, right, all leading up to his killer gotcha point, the big wallop, the big finale. So Everything else had to be cleared off the table so we could get to the big gotcha moment. And then it just went horribly wrong.
My time, I've gone over time. I need to show this last slide. This one I don't understand.
We provide breast exams to, I can get you the numbers of how many hundreds of thousands of women received breast exams at Planned Parenthood last year. Has nothing to do with, I don't, again,
here's
you
the problem.
created this slide. I have no idea what it is.
Well, it's the reduction over the course of years in pink. That's the reduction in the breast exams, and the red is the increase in the abortions. That's what's going on in your organization.
This is a slide that has never been shown to me before. I'm happy to look at it, and but it absolutely does not reflect what's happening at Planned Parenthood.
You're going to deny that if we take those
numbers out of your report? I'm going to deny the slide that you just shown me that no one has ever provided us before. We've provided you all the information about everything, all the services that Planned Parenthood provides, and it doesn't feel like we're trying to get to the truth here. You just showed me this. I'm happy to look at it.
I pulled those numbers directly out of your corporate reports.
Oh, excuse me, my lawyers are informing me that the source of this is actually Americans United for Life, which is an anti-abortion group, so I would check your source.
Then we will get to the bottom of the truth of that. We'll now recognize Mr. Cummings for a generous 7 minutes.
I thought it was 8, Mr. Chairman. I think it's 8.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead. I turned off my microphone for a reason. I pulled those numbers directly out of your corporate reports. That slide that Congressman Jason Chaffetz there tried to say he pulled directly from Planned Parenthood's corporate reports, it really did come from Americans United for Life. The congressman lifted it wholesale from the Americans United for Life anti-abortion website. Unfortunately for the congressman, he forgot to remove the source printed on the bottom of the slide. Before he said, this is a Planned Parenthood document I've lifted from your corporate reports. And he puts it on display as his big anti-Planned Parenthood gotcha grand finale. And on top of that, can I just say, I mean, I don't mean to be like a vengeful nerd here, but this chart makes no sense. There's no y-axis on the chart. How is 289,000 supposed abortions equal to 935,000 supposed cancer screenings? There's no y-axis. I mean, I'm not, anyway, it's insane. But that's kind of how today went. I mean, it's one thing to imagine being Republican Chairman Jason Chaffetz and just blowing your big moment like that and having nothing to do except get the next number you say wrong and then turn off your own microphone. But imagine what it was like to be the witness in that situation. Imagine what it was like for Planned Parenthood Federation of American President Cecile Richards.
Now, guys, the question is simple. Does Chaffetz have any character? I mean, really, you know, you're running an investigation and you embarrass yourself like that? For what? For the Koch brothers? For Sheldon Adelson? For the Walton family? You want to make yourself look like a bonehead so that these people can keep ripping off the middle class, the American middle class? You want to be a part to this? Guys, this is why I do the show. I mean, so we catch you with your hand in the cookie jar and we embarrass you. But wait a minute, we're going to have more fun because now we're going to play the longer clip of Carly. And let's just listen carefully how she insists on embarrassing herself and agitating the simple folk. So, Judy, let's have number 6.
Which is how we must stand with our allies. As regards Planned Parenthood, anyone who has watched this videotape, I dare Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama to watch these tapes. Watch a fully formed fetus on the table, its heart beating, its legs kicking, while someone says we have to keep it alive to harvest its brain. This is about the character of our nation. And if we will not stand up and force President Obama to veto this bill, shame on us.
Judy, guys, what normal human being wouldn't be upset by hearing something like that, something about abortions? where things are being harvested. And I mean, what person in their right mind wouldn't be bothered by that? I mean, it's the same, you know, can you imagine if she said they were beating up puppies? You'd be just as angry. And if they showed you pictures of puppies being hurt, you'd be but guys, that's what they want to do. They don't want to inform anybody. They just want to inflame you. And why? Because they hate women. I mean, I can't understand it. You know, Planned Parenthood is simple. It gives, you know, low-income women, it helps them. And it also helps men. But they don't want to, all they want to do is get people to vote against the Democratic Party. They just want you to make it think that this is evil. And guys, you know, as we go on, now we're going to meet the actual guy that made the videos. And and I tell you, I don't know if Hitler's Nazi propaganda machine worked any better than what this guy is doing. Because I tell you, all he wanted to do was spread the hate and the fear, and he's done a good job. But Chris Cuomo, is going to give him the old bada bing, and I tell you, you're going to appreciate this because he takes no prisoners. So, Judy, let's have clip number 7.
All right, Suzanne, let's bring in the man who produced those videos. It started all of this, David DeLeiden from the Center for Medical Progress. Good to have you with us, as always. So,
good to be with you again.
Court says you got to turn over your stuff, David. You got to turn over all the videos. You got to turn over the supporting documents. You got to show what you did. You got to show how you did it. You're fighting that to quote or paraphrase Representative Jordan from Ohio. You want to have it both ways. You want to expose the videos for what you want them to be, but not turn over everything. Why not turn over everything?
Interesting question. No, you know, CMP is complying with all of the congressional investigations and all of the state investigations that have requested footage from us. And actually, in that court case that you mentioned, there's an unconstitutional prior restraint, temporary restraining order against us that prevents us from actually complying with a federal subpoena from the U.S. Congress to hand over all of the materials to the Oversight and Investigations Committee that's conducting the investigation right now.
3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit ordered you to participate in discovery, turning over those things. I think they understand what a TRO is. Are you going to comply?
Yeah, so we're complying with we're engaging in the discovery in that lawsuit. I can't say too much about the legal specifics because I'm not an attorney, so I can't say so much about the litigation. But I think that we're happy to talk about what we did and how we did it, so long as the other party in that case, NAF, is willing to talk about their fetal tissue sales contracts, their illegal late-term abortion presentations, things like that.
One thing has nothing to do with the other. The reason I am a lawyer, as you well know. I'm raising it because it doesn't smell right, because you're about exposing, but you don't want to expose everything. It makes it seem like there's something that you want to hide. It feeds the perception that you selectively edited. Do you understand that criticism?
I understand the criticism. I don't think that that's accurate, and I don't think that that's really a fair representation of what's going on in that court case. I mean, I'm sure that you're familiar that sometimes discovery can be used as a fishing expedition. There's oftentimes multiple motives there. So that I don't think that's an accurate representation of what's going on in that case right now.
Did you edit the videotapes?
We create summary videos similar to the summary videos that you produce for a news broadcast, like this one. But the full footage of the conversations with Planned Parenthood directors and executives, that's always been posted to our YouTube channel, in addition to the summary videos.
But it's not the same as the summary video. I've had the pleasure, the mispleasure, whatever displeasure, whatever you want to call it. I've watched a lot of the raw. I've watched what you put out there. They're not the same. When you edit, you make choices. Is it fair to say that you did match certain questions with different parts of conversations and move things around to show what you think matters?
No, absolutely not. No, the edits that are made in the summary videos are just to surface out the highlights of those tapes. There's no changing in the ordering of the conversation whatsoever.
But do you believe it changes the context of what the conversations were?
No, not at all. And for statements, when you're talking about using ultrasound guidance to know where to put your forceps on a late-term fetus in order to harvest the brain or harvest the lung or harvest the heart, there's no context in which those statements become, inoffensive or acceptable to most people.
Well, not most people, right?
Okay,
Because you
you're
have
not gonna-
65% of the American people
Kurt's
don't
not
want
here,
to
so
defund Planned
just wanna
Parenthood. So
make
what you're
sure
talking
that-
about is conservative Catholics like yourself and people who are pro-life. Let me ask you something about the video.
Well, no, the poll that got those numbers didn't mention anything about the videos or the baby parts scandal that Planned Parenthood is embroiled in right now.
Of course it does, because it's about whether or not to defund Planned Parenthood. That doesn't come
No,
out of
I
nowhere.
looked at the crosstabs. The poll only asked about Planned Parenthood. It didn't specify the context at all.
But what other context could there be? All right, that's a conversation for another time, because that's just between your and my reckoning. That's not what's relevant to
Half the
everybody
American
else.
people haven't seen the videos yet, according to most
But
polling,
that's true.
so
But the
it's
question
pretty
is,
significant.
however, that assumes that seeing the videos informs you of the truth. And what Planned Parenthood and other people who see it says, no, you doctored them. You're doctoring it to make it seem like what you want it to be.
Right. There was just a new forensic analysis, an actual forensic analysis, not a report produced by a political opposition firm, which is what Planned Parenthood paid for a few weeks ago, but an actual forensic analysis produced yesterday.
Which one?
That showed that the videotapes, the one from Coal Fire Systems in
Aren't
Colorado.
they in part funded by a conservative group? Wasn't that study in part sponsored by them?
No, CMP has no connection to Coal Fire Systems, but that's an actual forensic laboratory and an actual forensic report that found that the videos are authentic.
They have funding things that are a little curious also. Here's what really created a flashpoint I want you to speak to. Carly Fiorina, very passionately in the debate, very cogently, brings across this image of an aborted baby on the table, the heart beating, the legs moving. Look at that video and then tell me what you think. Let me ask you about that image. Is that an aborted fetus that's on that in that image?
You know, I actually in the studio I don't have a visual of what you're showing me, so I'm
You know
not
what I'm
sure
talking
exactly
about,
what you're
David.
showing me.
It's a miscarriage.
But, well,
you know
I
the
think
mother
that
was interviewed. You know you didn't ask her for permission for it, but that's beside the point. It is not what
that's
Carly
not what
Fiorina
Carly
describes it
Fiorina
as.
was. That's not what Carly Fiorina was referencing. Carly Fiorina was referencing the sequence in our video that shows footage of a born-alive infant from a late-term abortion actually moving in a specimen pan, while Holly O'Donnell, who used to work at STEM Express, is talking about the harvesting of a brain of an infant of the exact same gestational age.
So you don't
that
think
was
you
also
think it's a
born
different
alive
image?
because they saw.
You think it's a different image than the one that was pointed out by the mother?
If you're showing, yeah,
Okay.
if you're showing the image of Walter Fretz right now, that's not the image.
All right, that's not, I don't know the names the way I don't own the material the way you do. I just know what I've seen. I know it comported with what Carly Fiorina was describing, and that it seems like something that was certainly taken out of context by whoever put the video together. Because the mother says, the mother says, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? There was a mother who had a miscarriage, a stillborn.
I've spoken with,
And you use that in the video, right?
I've spoken with Lexi Fretz, the mother. Yeah, absolutely.
And what do you
those
use it to
images
show?
were used to illustrate.
To show what?
Used to illustrate exactly the kind of late second trimester baby fetus that we're talking about in these cases of organ harvesting.
But if you're talking about organ harvesting and abortions and how terrible they are, why would you use a stillborn fetus, which is not a function of an abortion?
Do you think that the fetuses are different somehow?
I think it's
the same gestational age. It's the same baby.
It's also
whether it's born dead or alive, whether its organs are harvested or not. It's the same. That's the same kind of infant.
Absolutely. It's also completely irrelevant to the point you're trying to make, which is look at what they do to these babies. It was born stillborn. It was not aborted. Doesn't that matter to you if you're talking about abortion?
What I think what matters is the fact that that's an example of an 18 to 19 week fetus, which is the exact same gestational age that Planned Parenthood routinely aborts and harvests the organs from.
Right, but you used it as an example of look at the babies that they abort. Look how it's a real person. Look how it is. Look what they do. But it wasn't aborted. Isn't that misleading?
No, because the subject, the creature that's being aborted is the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of fetus.
Look,
that's
and
not
to make your
misrepresenting
point,
at all. It's
not
just to illustrate.
It's not a creature. It's not a thing. It's a little person. And the point is, if you want to represent a little person, do it fairly, because this is such an emotional thing. It's so religious for people. It's so moral for people. That baby was not aborted. It matters in the context of your conversation.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Did you hear what he said? This is the guy that cares so much for aborted fetuses that he goes out of his way to do these videos. And what did he call the aborted fetuses? He called them a creature. Can you imagine this? Calling a human being a creature, and you're so hypocritical that this is what you do to make your living, to upset the simple folk and to trick them and to get them to think, you know, that you're telling them the truth when you're not? So, Judy, let's just put a little salt in the wound. Clip number 8, and listen to this. Just listen to this guy. Hit it, Judy.
What they do, but it wasn't aborted. Isn't that misleading?
No, because the subject, the creature that's being aborted is the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of fetus.
Look,
that's
and
not
to make your
misrepresenting
point,
at all. It's
not
just to illustrate.
It's not a creature. It's not a thing. It's a little person. And the point is, if you want to represent a little person, do it fairly, because this is such an emotional thing. It's so religious for people. It's so moral for people. That baby.
Where do they find these people? Where do they find these people? I mean, how low on the totem pole do you have to be to want to just put videos up that are just BS videos? And we're going to play the rest of the clip. And then after this, we're going to show you the mother of the stillborn fetus. And when you see that, you're not going to be a happy camper. But in the meantime, Judy, let's finish with Chris Cuomo, clip number 9.
Misleading?
No, because the subject, the creature that's being aborted is the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of fetus.
Look,
that's
and
not
to make your
misrepresenting
point,
at all. It's
not
just to illustrate.
It's not a creature. It's not a thing. It's a little person. And the point is, if you want to represent a little person, do it fairly, because this is such an emotional thing. It's so religious for people. It's so moral for people. That baby was not aborted. It matters in the context of your conversation.
It's the exact same gestational age fetus. I don't see how you could say that that's not fair to show an illustration of what a fetus at 19 weeks looks like, because that's
my
the
point
exact
is
same
context.
gestational age.
You're saying what they do in abortions. This wasn't an abortion. That's my point. Let's move on to a different point, though. The one legal aspect of this, I don't know how important this is, but the law does matter, so let's discuss it. There is a charge against you that you did illegal things to procure these videos. Do you believe that that will be substantiated on any level, or do you defend against that charge on every level?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I don't think that's going to be substantiated. The Center for Medical Progress follows all applicable laws in the course of our investigative journalism work.
And the idea that you obtained them illegally, that there wasn't consent to the subjects, that you needed the consent for them, what's your response to that?
Yeah, no, most of the recording laws that are relevant, well, I mean, all of the recording laws that are relevant to the conversations that we taped, they're either taking place in one-party consent states or in situations where the consent of one party is only necessary in order to record conversations that are held in a public area, that are public conversations that you can reasonably expect people are going to overhear. Those are not private conversations that are prohibited from being recorded.
And you know that that often is a question of discretion. You're going to have to fight that out legally. You know that.
We're prepared to do so.
If you could go back, would you not summarize the videos? Would you not edit the video? Would you have just put out the raw and avoided what is certainly criticism of the production result?
Yeah, you know, I think even if we just put out the raw files, which is quite a difficult thing actually, they're pretty hard to work with. Planned Parenthood and their allies in the media are still going to have problems with it, are still going to accuse them of being doctored, are going to try to say that they're not real, because that's the only thing that they can say. They can't defend the actual content that's on the tapes, and so they're engaging in just straight up denialism right now, trying to say that the videos are fabricated, they're not real.
Well, but you gave them that. You gave them that ammo by doing the editing. And look, I mean, you know, you're talking to a guy who does this all the time. There's nothing easier than putting out raw footage, David. There's nothing easier than doing that. You could have easily produced the raw footage. It's the editing that takes time. That's what takes discretion and selectivity, right?
You know, I think it's important for the public to, you know, in order for the information to be accessible, to make sure that you're presenting the highlights and presenting the most important pieces of what are, you know, 2, 3, 4 hour long conversations.
To you, what's most important to you, and that's the point. It comes down to discretion and subjectivity. But I'll tell you this, David Daleiden.
That's why the full tapes are posted.
Well, but post them, right? And then that takes us to the lawsuit where you're not putting everything out. I think the more disclosure there is, the better, because you've started a very important conversation in this country that goes beyond the law, that goes to things that are very visceral. So people need to have the full information. David Daleiden, as always, thank you for representing your side. Appreciate it.
So guys, you just witnessed somebody that sold their soul to the Koch brothers. And I mean, why? Why would somebody want to do something like this? For one reason only, it's to create hate. So that people like Marty and Dave Straight and Al and Joey can all say, you know, this abortion stuff is so evil. No, that's not what it's all about. It's about votes. And it's about getting people to believe that the Democratic Party is for abortions, and it's not true. You know, it's about disgracing Planned Parenthood, where some people, it's the only place they can go, you know, to be able to get checked up. And most of the stuff from, you know, that comes in, the money that comes into Planned Parenthood, it comes in from Medicare. You know, Medicare payments, Medicare and Medicaid. You know what I mean? So that's where they're getting their money from. But guys, this next video, you know, you often hear, you know, if you have young kids in the room, you know, maybe they shouldn't watch this. Guys, this is actually one of those, I mean, we're going to show a little tiny stillborn fetus. And the mother that did the video, she did it because she wanted her two daughters to see their dead little brother. And I mean, this is a little tough to take, but hey, she has the right. I mean, if she wanted to teach her kids, hey, this is what happens in life, people die, I can understand that and I can respect that. But it's a little rough to watch. But now you're gonna see where Carly Fiorina got all this jazz with the baby and all this stuff so that half of America could sit there and go, oh, they're aborting all those little babes. Guys, now it's time for the truth, and that's what we do best on this show. So Judy, let's have video number 10, please.
More now with our breaking news as we take you back to Capitol Hill and Planned Parenthood's president, Cecile Richards, just returning to resume her testimony on Capitol Hill. This comes after she faced heavy criticism from Republicans who question whether or not the organization should receive federal funding. And we're going back to a story that we were talking about just a few minutes ago. It's about a woman named Lexi Oliver Fretz. Lexi is a photographer who never thought she would find herself in the middle of the Planned Parenthood debate. She's the mother of a stillborn child whose image has been used in anti-abortion videos. And Lexi joins me on the phone right now. Lexi, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
So it was 2 years ago that you lost your child in the summer of 2013. His name is Walter. I understand you had a miscarriage. He was stillborn at 19 weeks. And I know that this was heartbreaking for you and your family. But what made you decide this story, Walter's story, and pictures of him on your website and blog?
Well, I am from a very small town, and after coming home from our trip to Indiana to visit family, was tired of answering the question as to why are you not pregnant anymore. So I originally wrote my story down, not as a way of looking for attention at all, but as just a go-between so that I didn't have to talk to people and continue to relive my nightmare.
Lexi, how many children do you have?
Well, we have 2 older girls, and this past year we had another little baby girl.
Another little baby girl. You have a beautiful family. I want to warn our viewers, though, that the images that we're about to show are graphic, are sensitive. So if you do have kids and you're watching at home, we want to give you this moment to let them out of the room if you see fit. So Lexi, we pulled a picture of Walter, your child, that was stillborn at 19 weeks. And this is from your website. We've cropped it, matched it up to one of the images used in a video featuring Carly Fiorina and distributed by the Center for Medical Progress, which is an anti-abortion organization. It is the same child. How do you feel about Walter's picture being used to discredit Planned Parenthood?
Well, my husband and I are actually extremely pro-life, so we were a little shocked at first and surprised because, like I said, we never imagined that this would come about this way, or we shared our story with the purpose of gaining any kind of fame or anything. But we are extremely proud of our son and this path that the Lord has put us on to help. I mean, he has saved many, many unborn lives. I've had stories of people that have been sitting in the clinic waiting for an abortion that have changed their minds. I've had people come up to me personally and tell me, I never knew. I was misinformed. I was not educated in what a baby looks like at that point. At 19 weeks, they're very legal to abort, and most people just assume that it's a blob of nothing.
When Walter was stillborn, we have images now of your girls. You had them meet their brother. Why did you want to do that?
They were both old enough to know that I was pregnant. They were thrilled that we were having a baby. They were so excited to have another baby. And for them to not have met their brother and to just him be gone, we both felt would have been much more detrimental to them. They were able to see him, to hold him, to realize that he was real. And while, yes, he was technically stillborn, his heart was beating. I held him in my hands until his little heart stopped. I could see it clearly under his rib cage. Now that he was not with us whenever they got to meet him, but they still talk about their brother. He's still very much a part of their life, and they talk about him every day.
I know that Walter's story is very precious for you and your family. This has been really distorted out of context in this larger political conversation. Have you felt betrayed in any way by Walter's life being used and mischaracterized in such heavy and, in some ways, mischaracterized political debates?
I was a little surprised at first, not being directly asked, but at the same time, our lives are in God's hands. My husband and I were trusting God and His ultimate perfect plan, and if this is happening, we're just trusting that He's going to take care of us and use Walter for His good.
So we reached out to the Center for Medical Progress. They responded with this statement saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, Walter Fretz, Lexi's son, is a clear illustration of what the human fetus, neonate, looks like in the late second trimester. We've spoken with Lexi, and she's supportive of CMP's investigative journalism work exposing Planned Parenthood. So, Lexi, let me ask you again. Did anyone reach out to you for permission to use Walter's picture in the anti-abortion video?
Not directly, no. He pulled it from another article, interview that I had done previously last year for the Daily Mail.
And so no one from their organization reached out and said, we will be using this image in an anti-abortion video aimed at defunding Planned Parenthood or putting Planned Parenthood in a false light?
Not before it was released, no.
So we also reached out to the Carly Fiorina campaign, and they responded that, quote, we have no comment. We weren't involved in the production of these videos. Obviously, you've probably heard from the political campaign and Fiorina's fiery, impassioned talk during the debate that just happened a few weeks ago that used this illustration and referenced this video and that image. What do you want people to know about Walter and also about your own views about being pro-life?
I just believe that every child should have a chance to be alive, to make a difference. We have so many little lives that are being lost and thrown away each day, and I wish so much that my son was here. We miss him, and the short time we had was precious with him. But I know his purpose. His purpose was to help, to educate the world as to what a child really looks like. You know, you say fetus, neonate, baby, whatever you want to call it. He was very much alive, and I just believe that every little baby should have a chance.
And Lexi, do you hope that the organization that put together this video reaches out and apologizes to you or offers any sort of explanation?
No, I have talked to them directly, and we've cleared the air, and my husband and I are fine with that it has been used.
Lexi Oliver-Fretz. Lexi, thanks again for sharing your story with us today. I really appreciate it.
Wow. Can you believe that? They never asked her, you know, to put it in an anti-abortion video so that it could be put into bed. They never asked her. Can you believe this? No, because when you're trying to sell hate, you know, a lot of people won't go ahead with it. And, you know, she put up the video to do good. They put up the video for what? To do bad. Why? Because everything is political with these boneheads. All right, now we're going to finish up with Cecil Richards, and she's going to be actually stating what Planned Parenthood does, and she's going to explain that they can't do abortions because of the Hyde Amendment. But guys, we'll let her explain. So Judy, let's have number 11.
And stuff like that all day long today. Joining us now for the interview is Cecile Richards. Ms. Richards, thanks very much for your time tonight. I know literally it has been a very long day.
It's good to be here, Rachel.
How do you think today went in terms of its consequences for Planned Parenthood? Republicans and anti-abortion groups, they thought today would be the day they finished off Planned Parenthood forever.
Well, I was really glad to the extent that there was an opportunity to get a word in edgewise or ever answer a question. I was really thrilled to be able to talk about the incredible work that Planned Parenthood does around the country and the health care we provide to 2.7 million people. And I do think that point got across. And obviously what this whole hearing, in being generous, calling it a hearing, I think the whole purpose of this hearing was to convince themselves that it was okay to deny women the ability to go to the healthcare provider of their choice, because 2.7 million women and men choose Planned Parenthood, and they were trying to say that they wanted to take that choice away from them.
There is still the prospect of Republicans trying to deny all federal funding from going to any Planned Parenthood facilities, whether or not there's a government shutdown to try to achieve that. I know, and people who pay attention to the facts here know, that Planned Parenthood does not get money to do abortions. But can you explain to people following this issue, whether they're for you or against you, can you explain what federal money does end up with Planned Parenthood and why?
Right,
sure, and we actually had a long conversation about that in this hearing. I was surprised at how little some of the members knew about this.
The last two clips are 9 minutes.
Of course, because the Hyde Amendment, which has been around for decades and has unjustly punished low-income women in this country for years, the only abortions that are paid for by federal funds for Planned Parenthood or a hospital or any other healthcare provider are when the woman has been a victim of rape, incest, or her life is in danger.
After this, we'll go to,
so all the federal dollars, or the vast majority of federal dollars that come to an organization like Planned Parenthood are reimbursement through Medicaid or Title X for family planning, breast exams, Pap smears, STD testing and treatment. And that is actually what is at stake. They are trying to tell folks that participate in those federal programs, we're going to tell you who you can and can't go to for preventive health care.
So just to be clear on that, and I think sometimes the Washington language is hard to grasp from a non-Washington context. But when you say a reimbursement, it means if you are a low-income person and your if your health insurance is Medicaid, you get Medicaid as your insurance because of your income or because of anything else about you. When you go to Planned Parenthood or go to any other provider, the government ends up paying for your service because they're your insurer. That's all we're talking about here.
That's exactly right. And in fact, for women who are either participating in Title X, which is, not to use another Washington term, but it's the National Family Planning Program that actually was signed into law by Richard Nixon, if you might remember. But the National Family Planning Program and Medicaid, these are programs where women can come and get family planning. And Planned Parenthood, I believe, provides 60% of the services, family planning services, under these programs. And a lot of the conversation today was, well, we can just shut down Planned Parenthood and folks will go elsewhere. But even the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, has said just last week or the week before that 380,000 women would immediately lose access to health care if, in fact, the Congress shut down the ability of folks to go to Planned Parenthood.
In a context here, when it's just you and me, and you are allowed to answer, How do you explain Planned Parenthood's role in fetal tissue research, right? For people who may have heard about these accusing videos or who may have seen these accusing videos or seen excerpts of them and they want to know what it's all about, how do you explain fetal tissue research, how it fits into Planned Parenthood, and what's going on there?
Well, fetal tissue research has been, there was in 1988, actually began commissioned under Reagan, a panel that brought together folks on different sides of the abortion issue to come together with the guidelines on fetal tissue research. It's never been something that Planned Parenthood has been deeply involved in. Right now, fewer than 1% of our health centers actually allow women the opportunity to donate fetal tissue for fetal tissue research. And that research has gone on. I mean, it was part of the cure for polio. There's now all kinds of research happening on Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and ALS. Again, though, this is not a big area of work for Planned Parenthood. We really facilitate the desire of our patients, again, right now in only a handful of health centers, to donate fetal tissue. And frankly, that wasn't even much of the conversation today. Most of the conversation today was about members telling me, in particular, that they didn't believe that abortion should be legal and that they didn't believe Planned Parenthood should be able to serve people primarily because we provide abortion, which is a legal service in America.
Cecile Richards, president of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, I imagine that you are exhausted. Do you mind if I ask you to stick around for just a moment and I can ask you just a couple more questions?
Guys, it must be so hard to try to do something for the betterment of mankind and to have people giving you the business over it, you know? I mean, here's a woman that's trying to help people, and she gets bashed by the Republican Party. Why? I don't know. You guys have to start making those decisions. But you know, guys, today we're gonna have back-to-back Rachel, because she did another clip, and I tell you, I promised you this earlier. Guys, this is with Kevin McCarthy, who is the House Majority Leader, and he wants to be Speaker of the House. But guys, when you listen to him, you know, I don't know if he's one of the simple folk or if he's just stupid. I mean, I don't know if he's homeschooled. I mean, the elevator ain't going to the top. And you can read the transcript and you can listen to him and you can be the judge. But listen, you don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar to figure out that this guy doesn't have a clue. So Judy, clip number 13.
As I say, big show tonight. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to come. But we start tonight with the place of the band on America. The place of the band on America.
It defies belief that the president would allow the ban on Iranian oil exports to be lifted, and also stand by a Russia blackmails an entire continent, all the while keeping the place of the band on America.
The place of the band on America. That man's name is Jan Brewer. I'm sorry, that man's name is Kevin McCarthy. He's about to become Speaker of the House in Congress, which means he's about to be third in line to the presidency. So, I mean, God forbid if something happened to President Obama and Vice President Biden became president, God forbid something then happened to Vice President Biden, Kevin McCarthy would become president of the United States. If, in fact, he gets elected Speaker by Republicans in Congress, which is expected to happen when they have that vote next week. If he does get elected Speaker, Kevin McCarthy will be the least experienced person in modern history to hold that job. As far as we can tell, Kevin McCarthy has passed 2 bills since he has been in Congress. One of them renamed a post office for an awesome Bakersfield country singer named Buck Owens. His other bill renamed a research facility, also in his district. Those appear to be the only substantive pieces of legislation he has ever passed since he has been in Congress. The last time anyone became Speaker in Congress with as little experience as Kevin McCarthy, it was 1891. Roll call says today that when Charles F. Crisp became Speaker of the House in 1891, that was the last time somebody as inexperienced in Congress as Kevin McCarthy rose to become Speaker of the House. But this year, House Republicans think that Kevin McCarthy apparently is ready for the job. And after John Boehner unexpectedly resigned as Speaker on Friday, real quick on Monday morning, they decided to roll out an effort to convince the country that Kevin McCarthy is ready to succeed him, that Kevin McCarthy is ready to be third in line to the presidency. Kevin McCarthy is ready to potentially become president if called to do so in an emergency. And so, I think for the first time in his life, they rolled out Kevin McCarthy specifically to give a foreign policy address on Monday morning, which is where he got him talking about the place of the band on America. And a lot of other things that, frankly, were a little hard to follow. In that same speech this week, for example, here was Kevin McCarthy on veterans issues.
And those who return home are being disrespected by the VA. They can't keep the simple promise to all of our heroes to the need when they need it most.
All of our heroes to the need when they need it most. Kevin McCarthy on the promise to the need. He also talked about war of radical Islam and how we must engage in this war of.
We must engage this war of radical Islam if our life depended on it, because it does.
I think, honestly, that nobody really knows enough about Kevin McCarthy as a national figure to know if this is how he always talks. But this is apparently how he talks when he tries to talk about foreign policy.
This safe zone would create a stem flow of refugees, unlike during the surge in Iraq, when Petraeus and Crocker had an effective politically strategy to match the military strategy. We have isolated Israel while emboldening places like Iran. The absence of leadership over the past 6 years has had horrific consequences all across the globe. In the past few years alone, I have visited Poland, Hungary, Estonia, Russia, and Georgia.
George W. Bush made such a big deal with, you forgot Poland. Well, you know what? Everybody forgot Hungary. Hungary? That's the effective, I'm sorry. The politically strategy to match the military strategy. Everybody forgot Hungary. But this is the man who is about to run Congress. This is the man who is about to become Speaker of the House, barring something very unforeseen. And honestly, I'm sorry, just one more. I think this is important to bring home the gravity of this situation that Kevin McCarthy is about to get this close to the American presidency. Just one more. Do we have one? We have one more.
It had to be hundreds of thousands of their grandchildren to make that decision. We don't have the same as difficult decision, but this White House is managing the decline and putting us in tough decisions for the future.
The decline in putting us in tough decisions for the future. Peanut butter jelly. Banana, banana. I mean, all the while keeping the place of the band on America and Hungary. He is about to be Speaker of the House. Probably the second most powerful job in Washington. And the more we learn about Kevin McCarthy, the more we see him perform as a politician in public, it is becoming more and more amazing that he is about to become Speaker of the House. But just stick a pin in that for a moment. Hold that thought for just a moment about him ascending to third in line to the president.
Guys, when I was watching that and he came up with Hungary, I said to myself, for some reason, it just doesn't sound right. But this guy wants to be Speaker of the House? I mean, if he could do it, I could do it. I mean, when you mix up Australia with Hungary and come up with Hungary, I tell you, the Koch brothers, hey, for all the money you guys got, can't you buy some people that got their act together? I mean, really. All right, guys, the last clip we're going to show makes even more fun of this guy. And what we're going to do is we're going to play the clip, we're going to have some fun, we're going to roll the credits, and we're going to come back with about 30 seconds so I can tell you what next week's show is going to be about. So, Judy, let's have video number 12, please.
House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy wants to replace John Boehner, who is resigning as Speaker of the House. He also was on Fox News last night, and he admitted, and let's be very clear, this is not something we didn't know about, but this is the first time that we have a major Republican official on record admitting that much of the motivation for the Benghazi investigations, investigation after investigation, committee after committee after panel, was to hurt Hillary Clinton. This is House Majority Leader, Republican Kevin McCarthy, saying to Sean Hannity, remember when people thought Hillary was unbeatable? Well, we put together a Benghazi special committee. Here he is.
What you're going to see is a conservative speaker that takes a conservative Congress that puts a strategy to fight and win. And let me give you one example.
The credits rolling.
Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was unbeatable, right? But we put together a Benghazi special committee, a select committee. What are her numbers today? Her numbers are dropping. Why? Because she's untrustable. But no one would have known any of that had happened had we not thought and made that happen.
Good. I give you credit for that. I give you credit for sequestration.
Yeah, this guy wants to be Speaker of the House. People thought Hillary was unbeatable, but we put together a committee to investigate Benghazi, and now we hurt Hillary Clinton's poll numbers. What a grotesque admission, Lewis, of the political motivation, not motivation for so-called truth, not motivation to make sure that those accountable are held accountable, that those responsible are held accountable, not anything other than hurting Hillary Clinton's poll numbers on record, Republican Majority Leader.
But could it be that McCarthy thinks that Hillary Clinton cannot be trusted and thinks personally that perhaps there was some wrongdoing here? And so, admittedly, he is at once forming this committee and helping form this committee to hurt Hillary Clinton, but to also prove that there was wrongdoing and that she can't be trusted for whatever reason.
Well, then the question is, then the question is, did the first 12 committees not give you the information you were looking for? It's abundantly clear that the point of going to even more committees and panels is not because he thinks they're going to uncover anything.
All right. So, guys, I'm trying to look up next week's show. And, guys, what I want to do next week, we didn't have time for it. The Tesla Model X is coming out, so we want to show you that. And then we want to talk about the flooding that's going on in Charleston. And we want to go back to an old show where we showed you the flooding in Houston. So, guys, it was a real pleasure. I hope we all learned something today, because I tell you, when it comes to character, hopefully you have the integrity and the moral character, where you have the class and the style, where you don't sell your soul and you don't become a foxstitute and work for Fox News, the